Okay, so goals today, just so you have them, because I like to put these up here every now and then. Make sure you have a goal kind of for today. My goal is to talk about pay salaries. So it's going to be the time card that's involved. So this is section 1.6. It's entitled salaries. And this applies to a lot of you that were picking a job, a specific type of job for your career. That you're kind of thinking that you're kind of interested in, or you just want to know more about it. The goal today is to look at a time card. And what I mean by time card is looking at if you're going to get paid monthly or bi-weekly or whatever it is, what would you get paid in the end of the year? So like if you had a time card of payments, I should say, so like a pay card of payments, what is that going to look like? And how does that affect you? And how does that actually affect like payments you have to make? So this is something that a lot of people don't think about, but we need to discuss. Okay? And once we're through that, my goal is to go through at least 4 examples, 2 of each type, and then we're done. You can work on homework. Got it? All right. So let's talk about this. First example I want to go through. First example. Let's say. All right, first example I want to discuss is, let's imagine that you're getting paid $434 bi-weekly. So say you're getting paid $434 bi-weekly. It's a set fee for whatever job you have. Maybe you're just a farmhand. Maybe you're working with, maybe you're a babysitter, or you got some job where you have a set amount that they're going to pay you per a 2-week period that you have to. It doesn't matter the hours. You're on the job, and that's what you're working. What I want to talk about is how much do you get paid for the year. So let's discuss that. Okay. So we'll go through here in a second. Let me let you write that down. That example. I'm gonna take attendance real quick, and then we'll get going on it. Okay. All right, and then I've already kind of heard some people already did the calculation there. All right, now if you look at the chart, how many times are you getting paid per year? 26 times. So here's the trick: take 434 times 26. Now why? Why it's biweekly? It's every 2 weeks. There's 52 weeks in a year. So if you're getting paid half of that, twice every 2 weeks, that's 26 weeks in a year. So if you multiply that, what was the number again?
11,284.
84?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. $11,000 a year. Okay, maybe that's your pay, and then obviously we'd have to take taxes out and whatnot. But why this is important, why I bring this up, and why we're taking time to actually talk about this. This is something you need to think about if you're doing payments on like a mortgage or rent, or you have all your bills that you would normally pay. Just to give you an idea, I'm going to list out the bills that I have in a normal month. Okay, just so you can see this. So I have a car payment. I have a cell phone. I have Mediacom, so that's my internet TV provider. I have my mortgage. Mortgage is a loan for a house, or when you buy a house, or it could be a rent. And I have my student loan. So these are the basic payments. That's not including food, cost of living, things for my family, gas. That's a big one. Other things, like if you're going to take out any other loans, like these are like the basics most people think about. Okay. Utilities. Didn't even think about that. That's not important that I have water or electricity, But utilities. Okay. There's my basic loans. Well, why I bring this up is if you're going to live on your own, or you're going to go out for the first time after when you graduate, you're going to start living on your own, you're going to get an apartment, whatnot. Obviously, you're probably not going to have all of this stuff yet. You're not going to have student loans. You're not going to have car payment. Hopefully, you won't. But let's say you have this type of stuff. These are little things you have to think about, especially the time period you're getting paid. Because if you know you're getting paid every 2 weeks, you shouldn't have all your bills come out at the beginning of the month. Because if all your bills are on like the first of the month, and you get paid twice later on in the month, you may not be able to make that payment. So what I would do is, if you know what your biweekly payments are, figure out which bills you're going to pay in that 2-week period. That way you can budget correctly. And you got to figure out, you might have to mix and match. Because why this is important, when you start buying a house, you get a car, you can set the payment date. You can set like, hey, I want to pay that on the 20th of the month. And they'll be like, okay, your first payment's this month on the 20th. Boom. And you're off and going. MediaCom, cell phone, usually you don't have an option. It depends on who your carrier is. Like Verizon, I think the payments are always due on the 20th or something like that every month. MediaCom, I think it's the 5th of every month for me. If I look back, I didn't set those. Like, they just automatically do that. Because they set those dates because they know most employers, if they pay bi-weekly or every twice a month on my monthly, you get paid on the 5th and 20th. So that's when they set their dates, like it's automatic. So you gotta start adjusting to like where you're gonna put this stuff. This can be big, if you think about this. You know, if you're gonna start adding up stuff. Okay, mortgage on a house. Mortgage on a $60,000 home is about $400 to $600. Just depends on your type of your interest that you have, your credit that you have. Car payments just depends on the type of car. If you're going to buy a $20,000 car and you're going to pay it over, you know, the 72 months, you're looking at about a $350 to $400 payment. You already stretched your budget. Like, just think about this: getting paid twice a month. You buy a car, you buy a house. You don't have room for this stuff anymore. You've already kind of exhausted all the entire paycheck. These are things you have to think about. It's not practical. You might have to go budget downwards. Maybe you don't need to buy the $60,000 home. Maybe you need to go rent an apartment for a while, like a really cheap apartment, so that you can afford it. Maybe you don't need that $300 cell phone bill.
What's your cell phone bill?
Mine right now, well, I'll get my new phone. I'll order the new phone tomorrow, so I'll get the new iPhone tomorrow. My cell phone bill will be $350 a month.
Why?
I have 6 phones in my plan, because my family's on my plan and I paid it.
That's not bad for 6 phones.
No, not bad.
Wait, how much?
6 phones, $350 a month.
Because I have 2 phones on mine.
Yeah. I've been Verizon a long time. Got kind of grandfathered in. So, but yeah, these are the little things you have to think about. Like, some people hear that and they're like, "Holy God, I would never have a cell phone." Yeah, it's kind of nice to have one. My MediaCom bill, it's about $100. That's for like a lot of TV and really fast internet. So these are like little things you have to think about. I still have utilities, heating. And just to let you know, like, the big one about all of this was probably utilities, and I can't believe I forgot it, because utilities can kill you in an apartment. Try to get an apartment that's kind of mixed in there. They already pay it. Because if you're living in a really old apartment that has gas, let's say, and you're trying to heat it during the winter, and it has really bad insulation, you're paying a lot of money for heating. Like, and so that's why, like, when people want to go out and buy that big home, like that big Victorian style home, like the middle of Clear Lake, where they have really cool looking homes, the heating of those homes is incredibly expensive. Like, most people can't afford that, because the heating might actually cost more than your house payment. So just think about that. But this is important. You need to know this stuff, because knowing your payment periods can tell you what your budget is, so you can't go get that cell phone, right? Because you don't need the smartphone. You really don't. You just, I mean, you can go get one of those, what is it, the
Flip phones?
Yeah, the flip phones. Not a flip phone, but I'm talking about like track phone or whatever they sell. Straight talk. That's what I'm looking at. Because that's like $45 flat. That phone works. It's not great. It works, right? You can even get smartphones on that plan, but it's set flat rates. Maybe that's what you need to do. Like, you don't need Verizon $300 bill. I pay a lot of money for that Verizon bill, but I also have my whole family that I'm paying for on it. All right. Now, next, let's talk about what it would be, like what the difference is if you were to get paid in one lump sum. Okay. So if you're getting paid that salary of, let's say, now, did anyone in here when they're looking at their job, it said like you get a certain pay per year, like you get $28,000 payment. Did anyone have a job that said that when we researched that a long time ago? That you just had a set fee, what you get paid?
But I can't remember.
Okay, I know, it was a long time ago, it was what, a couple weeks? Okay, all right, let's just do it for a teacher. Okay, let's do it for a teacher. So let's say you're starting off on teaching, you're gonna get starting pay, and this is not set, by the way, I'm making this number up. Let's say you get $35,000, I think that's the average in Iowa. If you go to a smaller town, it's way less than that, just letting you know. But let's say it's 35 grand, starting. And you want to know what you're going to get paid if they pay you twice a month, semi-annually. Semi-monthly. So, semi-monthly payments, that's twice a month. Okay, that's important. That's kind of nice. That's the one you kind of want to go to if you have a choice. Twice a month. So what you do is you take your 35 grand and you divide it by your 24. That's twice a month. What do we get? Twice a month. What are we getting for a starting teacher pay?
1,458.33.
1,458?
Yep.
Okay, there you go. This is what you're gonna get paid twice a month. The 5th of the month, the 20th of the month. Now again, we haven't taken up taxes or whatnot, so you're gonna get paid significantly less than that. But if you have a choice in your job, more pay periods, twice a month, every 2 weeks. Those are golden, the reason why it lowers your taxes. Trust me, that's the way you wanna go. But the idea is if you get paid 20th, 5th and 20th, this is your budget per time period. So now you're thinking, okay, now I can make the cell phone bill, I can make the car payment, and I can pay the actual utilities in the first of the month, and the second half of the month, now I can use that for anything else, maybe student loans, something like that. Okay, I'm not joking. I'm almost done with my student loans. It's a 20-year loan. So I'm almost out of college for 20 years. I'm out 17 now. Okay? My student loans will be up in a couple of years, but my 20th of the month payment, that's what I always consider it, like the second payment of the month, was almost all student loan. All student loan. It was $1,000, and you're seeing right there. I wasn't getting paid 30 grand when I started getting paid. I was getting 24 grand when I first started teaching. It's moved up, obviously, but the idea is that I was paying $1,000 a month for student loans at Iowa State for 4.5 years. That's incredible. That's a lot of money. Yeah, because going to Iowa State for 4 years, I racked about 60, 70 grand worth of student loan. It was 13 grand a semester, or a year for me anyway. Now it's way more than that. Now you're paying 13 grand a semester now. It's 26 a year. Okay, now it's way more than that. You can rack up 150 grand worth of student loans real quick. And if you don't finish college, you still have to pay it. And if you die, your family still has to pay it. So it's one of the most depressing things ever when you see that. But when you start to see the end, when it's like almost paid off, it's nice. I almost own the piece of paper that has my name on it. Almost there. Okay, questions, comments about payment salaries. Okay, I just feel like this is super important for people that want to live on their own, especially young people. They want to get out of the house. I understand that. I know where you're coming from. Your parents drive you nuts. They're on your case. Maybe you just don't like where you're at. I understand that. But you also have to think realistically. You have to think about the payments and what you're going to make. Okay, because if you're coming out of high school, there is really nice jobs out there. Like really nice high-paying jobs that you don't have to go to college for. There is college degrees that are better if you actually have a degree for payments anyway. But the idea is that you need to think about budgeting. like how much you're gonna pay, and that's what we're doing this year, right? We've been talking about salaries. What we're gonna do in the later chapters, talk about what would it cost for a house. We're gonna try to talk about like what would it be for a loan. I'm gonna try to bring in a banker to talk you through it. What would it be for utilities? We'll talk about, you know, what the payments are for what I pay, and what it would be in different towns, and what websites you can go to check that. Like those are things that I think are important to you guys, because you're gonna have to deal with it. Somebody needs to teach you that, so you know what to do. But yeah, so those are little things we need to talk about. Is there any questions with the concept today, what we're talking about? Okay, we're done. You can work into page 12 and 13. It's due tomorrow. Due tomorrow. Yeah. Yes, hold on. Okay. Let me turn off the camera.